Showers this afternoon, otherwise partly sunny with light winds and a high near 52. Tonight, a chance of showers early, otherwise partly cloudy skies, a low around 26. And tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine with a light breeze and a high near 62. I'm meteorologist Kyle Fletcher from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and on behalf of the entire Koppel team, we would like to say thank you to all of our loyal customers and employees that have allowed us to become one of the most successful GM dealerships in the country for the past 50 years. So we are celebrating that with some huge discounts. Right now, we have up to $13,500 off MSRP or 0% APR on select new models, and new Blazer EVs are leasing for $279 a month with zero down. So check us out online at koppelcars.com. All deals with approved credit. See dealer for details.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey guys, this is former UFC fighter and mixed martial artist Anthony Lionheart Smith. The Upside Bar and Lounge in South Lincoln is the go-to spot for every UFC event, prelims, and main card. There's never a cover, so make sure you get there early and stay late. Upside Bar and Lounge has daily specials, a margarita club, and a taco club. And don't forget, they just added Buzz Bowls to their menu. Learn more about upcoming events by visiting UpsideBarLNK.com and stop into their South Lincoln location for every UFC event on 27th and Pine Lake.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in at Ticket Weeknights. Arens. Tristan Gomes joining me to my left. If you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685. We got a basketball game going on right now at the Vault. Nebraska men's basketball, number 12, Nebraska men's basketball, taking on the Maryland Terrapins. Buzz Williams, first year down there. And it's been a little bit of a slow start. Tristan, I know you've been watching the game as well. What are your initial thoughts so far? Just got done with the first half. They're getting ready to start with the second half here in a little bit, but first half thoughts.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. A little bit of a slow start for the Huskers, but I feel like we've seen this a little bit. You know, you think of other games against Oregon, Washington, kind of those teams of inferior opponents where Nebraska takes a little bit to get going and see who's kind of going to be the guy. But their defense has been kind of lights out right now. It's been a tough basket for every single one of Maryland's points. So I think just keeping that up and, you know, as we've seen Nebraska with the 6-point lead right now, that's just going to continue into the second half, I believe.
Yeah, it's slow start, as we mentioned, but it's been slow for both teams. And the defense of Nebraska, impressive. So is Maryland. I don't want to take anything away from them. Nebraska hasn't looked incredibly comfortable in their half-court sets. They've had some open looks at threes, which we'll get to that. But you look at the numbers, they're really not shooting too bad. Maryland shooting 35% from the floor, Nebraska 42%. And again, that gives them that 6-point lead, 33-27. But the 3-point shooting, like I said, it's really not that bad. 5-15, they're shooting 33%. Same thing with Maryland. They're 6 of 18, also shooting 33%. Free throws, Nebraska has actually already been at the line 8 of 13 times. So they are doing a good job kind of using Maryland's physicality against them. Rebounding's close. Nebraska's only down by 1. Both teams only got 2 offensive boards, steals close, assists close. Really not a whole lot of differentiating factors in this one. Just keep taking care of the ball. And I think at this point, it's just kind of figure out who's got the hot hand. I don't know what to do. Nebraska gets into a lot of these runs, and there has been a major one tonight, but certainly Maryland have opportunities. It's just I don't know what the answer is when they go through these 5-minute droughts. Because we mentioned at the beginning, that's another game where it's like 5 minutes in, we didn't score. I know Purdue, I think it was like 13 minutes left before we got our first point. So 7-minute drought there. This kind of been a problem for Nebraska. And I'm nitpicking. It's still a very good team, but I think if we're going to talk about them seriously as a, beyond the round of 32, you got to figure out a way to really get that offense going to avoid these runs.
Yeah, I think that's the worry for this Nebraska basketball team. Because you think when you do get into tournament play, especially you get into March Madness, there's going to be good teams like Purdue, where if you do start out this slow, their offense isn't going to, and they can, create quite a deficit really quick. And then you just kind of watch this one. Price was getting his shots up early, and if those go in, it's a totally different story. You go, Price is hot. This might be one of those games for him, which it still could be. But I think early in these games, you want to see Nebraska get downhill, try to get to the lane, get something going, the ball moving. And then if, all else fails, you're getting to the free throw line like they have been later in this first half. And I think it's interesting to me of, did Maryland and Buzz Williams, did they watch that Iowa game and they go, all right, we need to limit Nebraska's possessions? Because like you said, the droughts happen, but also the runs happen very quickly for Nebraska, where they can go on a 10-point swing just like that and get out in transition. And so I'm curious if Maryland's, game plan going into this was, let's limit the possessions and let's try to make this a half-court ball game and see if we can stay in it that way.
It's been the recipe of success. I mean, I know the announcers mention it every time, but Price Stanford's, even his 3-point shot really takes a dip once you get into a half court. On the fast break, he's really lethal there, and Nebraska maybe find more opportunities on the fast break to create some offense. But again, I'm nitpicking. They're up by 6. The spread was 16.5, but Nebraska's been somewhat of a second half team there, especially Price Stanford. And I do think a lot of that, the way teams play Nebraska defensively, is so much chasing around that I think when you get to that second half, certainly with Price Stanford, guys get a little bit worn down. And especially having Chase Sanford around, eventually feels like he starts to find those open looks. And I do think it's a big part of not acceptable maybe to have such slow starts, but I think in that second half, that defense does start to wear down a little bit, and you'll see Nebraska's offense, knock on wood, start to open up.
Yeah, I think we've seen that plenty this year. I mean, I think of the Oregon game at one point with like 5 minutes to go, it was 23-23 in the first half, and then they win by 40. Like, it's just teams get so worn out because there's so many different guys you have to stop. And like you said, it's like chasing around Steph Curry. Like, Price Stanford can be all over, especially when he's moving and he's knocking down threes. Like, it wears out a defense and opens up the lane for other guys to make things happen. And so I think in games like this, we're going to see that, especially again into the second half.
Yep, and they're kicking off the second half right now, and unfortunately, Rink Mass just missed a nice little baby hook there. How important is it for us to get Rink Mass kind of going here? And I'm not like off the Rink Mass train. I know a lot of people have not been super hyped about his play as of late, but again, coming off of the illness, and since then, it feels like he hasn't quite had that standout game outside of Northwestern. I think he got 20+ points in that one, but I think he's such a big part of this team. If he continues to struggle, our offense isn't dead in the water, but it just becomes that much more lethal when he is able to stretch the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, early in the season, it felt like he was very much a facilitator. Like, they would give him the ball at the top of the key, which I feel like we're seeing a little bit less of. I think that goes to show how well that like Sam Hoiberg is playing, and you want the ball in his hands because you know he's going to make things happen. Same thing with Jamarcus, but I think if we give Rink a little bit more opportunity to be the facilitator, to get some assists, draw his big defender outside and let him go to work, we're going to see him get a little hotter, get a little bit more success. And then, I think just finding ways, Nebraska just needs to find ways to give him shot opportunities to build that confidence, because I think the confidence piece is the most important thing.
Yeah, and he's just got to go back to, I think, what works for him. Like, he's got the nice little baby hook move, just be quicker with it. Because again, when he starts getting going, he has a really nice touch on that ball. It's just trying to get him going. And to your point, he's such a good facilitator. that when his offense is going, then his game really looks good. It's kind of how Sam Hoiberg's game evolved so much this year was he added to the offense part. And now you're seeing Sam Hoiberg go out there, getting, I think he had a double in the last one with like an 11-point total, 10 assists. Well, he's able to get those points, but also rack up those assists because he is such a threat offensively that you can't maybe play him the same way you were last year. And I don't know if it's the confidence, just what he did in the offseason. Certainly, you can see the growth and development physically. But I guess, like, for me, that's the part with Rink Mast where he is such a good player, but when he isn't scoring, it takes away from that playmaking a little bit. And that's where the offense looks not significantly different, but different enough than it does that stretches at the beginning of the season. And as I say that, he just drained a 3. So maybe he hurt us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I want him to just like play with confidence, like
Yeah.
go out and like play to not only your potential, but like what you already have been. Like we've seen him put up, 20 plus point games where it just seems like he's unstoppable in every facet. He can get in the lane, he can knock down a mid range, he can knock down the 3-point shot like we just saw there. And so I think it's important for him to just like take those shots. I think when in the games that it seems like he is struggling, you can kind of see a lack of confidence or he's a little hesitant on some plays. Like go out and just do it because you have other guys that if it, you do need to pick up some slack, they're also going to make shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just him taking those shots. And then, like you said, I mean, Sam has elevated his game tremendously and he's leading the game in rebounds right now.
He's done that multiple times,
which is
too.
unbelievable. He's the shortest guy in the court and he makes things happen like that just elevates this team. So I think, with Sam playing at this elite level, Price playing at this elite level, if we can get, even Jamarcus or Rink just back in that scoring column where they are putting up some numbers, this team is really hard to stop.
Absolutely. And then I know we even saw Garcia. He's not in right now, but earlier in the game, it was nice to see him come in there and hit a 3. Just because when we get to, again, going like looking forward, but not too far forward, like if you want to be a team that gets past that 32, a lot of those times you'll see that guy come off the bench and be that spark plug for him. And maybe we need Garcia. Maybe it's Leo Curtis, the guy out of Iceland. But it's just nice to see him get in there and get some reps. So still 39-32. We'll kind of put a pin on Husker men's hoops as they are trying to get a win at home over Maryland. We will have the post-game show with that. Likely starting around 8 o'clock. If not, Tristan will kind of fill with me until the official start of Husker Hoops post-game show. With that being said, though, I do want to talk a little bit of women's, and then we'll talk Husker football. Women's team is kind of in a unique boat themselves. They got Rutgers left on the schedule. They got a huge win versus Washington, and maybe not ranked Washington, but again, if you were probably sitting there on most projections as like the last team in, or to just barely on the outside looking in, you lose that game versus Washington, and Britt Prince hits a step back 3 in clutch fashion with just a few seconds left to give them the lead. Now they just got a Rutgers team left, and it's senior day, I believe, and Rutgers is 1-15 in Big Ten play. You take care of that, and then I think they're probably just looking at one more win in the Big Ten tournament, maybe two, to feel absolutely safe.
Yeah, I think when it comes to women's college basketball, there is almost a drastic difference in the conferences, like the Big Ten and the SEC, even a little bit of the ACC. Like those conferences are just so good that you're going to play, ranked teams pretty much every single week. Like one of the 2 games you're going to play is most likely going to be against a ranked team. And I think Nebraska has kind of fallen into that trap where, they've beaten some teams that they should, but they're playing some really good teams week in and week out. So even though they have had, quite a few losses in Big Ten plays, like any games that they are winning, like are very big wins.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what, the committee is going to look at, and they're going to go, yeah, I mean, they lost a few to, the Michigans, the UCLAs, like the really tough teams, but like they handled business. And are we to say that a Mountain West school who maybe had a way easier schedule is better than this Nebraska team? I don't think so. And so, but I like you said, that when I get against Washington is huge. And then just taking on Rutgers and handling business in that one and going into the Big Ten tournament with some confidence.
Yeah, 100%. I just had to take a peek at it with bracketology on looking at teams, and it's sitting at 12 right now. I know earlier it's at 13, just Big Ten teams all in that tournament. So the competition's tough enough within the conference. So I do think, although it got a little bit shaky there, and I think people are uncertain, maybe this was going to be an NIT tournament, they still control their destiny. And realistically, I think it takes 3 more wins to feel really safe. Most likely, maybe just 2 more wins because you're within that conference. Like I said, 12 teams right now projected to get in on the women's side of things for March Madness. But that being said, we'll put a pin on Husker Hoops as a whole. Let's talk a little Husker football. Were you able to listen to the press conference today? We had 3 coaches at the podium speak. We had Brown, Maher, new special teams coordinator, and Manning.
Yeah, got a little bit of Brett Maher. That was the only one I was able to tune into. But I mean, I think he handled it extremely well, and kind of just said like what his identity wants to be for the special teams unit.
Yeah, we can get a little bit of that. He did have some stuff, obviously, maybe a little bit of coach speak at moments, but he does kind of give his just look into the program again. He just taken over as a special teams coordinator, but he's been with the Huskers for a little bit there. Let's get him on getting it to, where's it at here? I want his, okay. What allows him to be approved for this job, capable of the job. Here's Brett Maher on his, what you'd call his credibility for having the special teams coordinator job.
Number one, throughout the NFL, the different coordinators that I've been a part of with Darren Rizzi, Bones, Jeremy Springer, who's with the Patriots now. You've got Phil Galliano down in New Orleans, and all those guys that I've made relationships with, still have relationships with, and can be sounding boards for me as I kind of go through the processes and the ebbs and flows of what practice schedule looks like, how to run a meeting, how to decide what information is important, what information is not important. How do you try to build a special teams culture, which isn't as challenging here because of how Coach Rule has everything set up. And, you know, our base fundamentals here are practicing really hard, giving great effort, having grit. That's a big thing that we're talking about this year. And all of those things encapsulate what we want to do and what we need to do on special teams. So having that comfortability level with those people and walking into this building and having that kind of base already set allows us to be ourselves, kind of do that through our own personality and really kind of hit the ground running.
So some obvious things in there, some things that may be interesting if you don't know entirely his background. I know the one day we went through it, like all the stops that this guy's had. So when he's bringing up, you know, he's got connections and people to maybe even lean on outside of this staff if he ever needs to. Totally buy him there. And I think with Mike Eckler leaving, you can put all that aside, whether you think it was our fault that he left, if you think Mike Eckler maybe just wanted something that we didn't have and couldn't offer. Put that all aside. I think with that being what it was, Brett Maher might have been the next best guy to step up. You could go look for another big time special teams coordinator. Maybe you do spend the money, but with Brett Maher, guy was already in system. And, you know, again, it's somewhat like coach speak, but how he's handling the media press conferences at least gives me some pause to think he might be able to not just do the job, but kind of keep it at that same standard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have full confidence in him, not only because of his experience, you know, as a player, but because he was a Husker. Like, I think he's going to take a lot of pride in this opportunity and this job, knowing, yeah, I want Nebraska to win every single time. And I don't think he wants it to fall on his shoulders if they don't. If it is a game where there's a muffed punt or missed tackles on special teams, like, I think he wants to make sure that his group hits the ground running and they're making plays. And they are a weapon in these games, like kind of we saw last year with Mike Eckler. And I mean, like you said, he has plenty of guys he can reach out to, and at the NFL level, even at the college level, of just people that he's played with, and then coaches he's been under, where you can go, yeah, what's your philosophy? What's your practice plan? So I feel like he's a guy that knows what he's doing. He has the right ideas. It's just, how do you instill this into the players? How do you get the players excited, kind of like Coach Eckler did?
I'll be curious to see how much it stays the same. I know they pretty much hinted like they're not going to necessarily change the schematics behind it, because Mike Eckler, he's got his own little bit of twist on special teams as well that definitely helped Nebraska out in big ways. Let's get a little bit more. You talked about his time at Nebraska. Here's him on just his memories at the university.
Some of my memories from here, shoot, I remember playing in 2 Big 12 championship games and 1 Big 10 championship game. Remember going 2-0 against Iowa. Remember the celebration in Iowa City where we won the division and ended up going to the Big 10 championship game and celebrating in the pink locker room, doing all that stuff. Like, that's what gives me the motivation right now, because that's where I see this place, and that's where we're going at this place.
Even he remembers going 2-0 versus the Iowa Hawkeyes, on top of the other great memories there. How important is, I've never been at that level. You've obviously been at a higher level at college. When you have guys that are maybe within that university already, or if they played at that university, I don't know if you experienced that down there in Portland, but you know, does that hold a lot of value in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Our head coach of the University of Portland, he's in like the Portland Athletics Hall of Fame, played there, was drafted to the Athletics out of Portland. And so when he came back, like, I think that was his big motivation is, for quite a while, Portland had not been a great baseball school, but I think he said, like, we used to be good. Let's instill the culture that, like, we had. And I think that's what, Coach Maher is going with is, when I played here, we made conference championships. We beat Iowa. Like, we had some really fun times. And I think he emphasized how much more fun it is to win, like when you are good. And so I think he wants to bring that culture back and, show that he has, pride for this university, and he's going to find ways to instill that in his players. And for some people, they might just say, well, it's just special teams. But I think he takes so much pride in it because of what he did here as a Husker, like, making it to multiple conference championships, and being a huge factor on those teams as well. He knows what it takes to be a leader, and I think he's going to create some leaders in his locker room.
Yeah, and I hope that importance of the special team stays there, and I think it will, because you see it more, and I know I talk to Jay in the morning about it all the time, but if you're one of those guys that has NFL aspirations, and especially if you're one of those fringe guys, if you're the linebacker who linebacker A and linebacker B, and it's between you two, and the one linebacker consistently played special teams and took pride in it, you're probably going to go with that guy as opposed to the linebacker who didn't play any special teams whatsoever. It adds that stock there. It'll be interesting to see because we got to replace Williams. Obviously, he had two kick return touchdowns for us last year, one versus Northwestern, and where was the other one?
Oh, gosh. Was it early in the season?
Yeah, I want to say it was earlier in the season. It might have been versus the Zips, for all I can remember.
I think it was Akron or Houston Christian.
Yeah, because I know we scored 68 and Houston Christian. I can't remember exactly what we scored. But either way, you got to place some of the talent out there. But as long as that pride's there, hopefully you can keep that ship rolling there. All right, let's get to the next coach here, and then we'll kind of save the last one on the other side. You want to get to Manning or do you want to get to Brown?
Let's hear from Manning.
All right, let's go ahead, get to Manning. I thought this one's interesting. I'll ask you, and then we'll kind of get to his answer. So Nebraska struggled to really just get pressures or sacks at all when getting to the quarterback. Schematics, I don't think it was really schematics. I think any scheme can work if you have the personnel. I'm more inclined to believe the personnel just wasn't experienced enough, maybe especially at that linebacker position, or maybe just not big enough. What are your thoughts on why Nebraska struggled so much when it came to getting to the quarterback and also just keeping contained?
Yeah, I honestly feel like it was a little bit of all of it, whether it was the personnel that was out on the field in different situations, whether you had kind of a run stop defensive line out there at times when it should have been, more of a pass rush. But I felt like at times it seemed like they were trying to stop everything. They were trying to contain the quarterback. They were trying to get to the quarterback, but also they were trying to stop the run at the same time. And here's a little baseball analogy is when you try to hit everything, you hit nothing. When you're trying to hit the fastball and the curveball and the changeup, you hit nothing. You got to be, on point for one. And you don't want to say guessing, but like you got to have a scheme and a plan and the personnel out there to, get a sack in big moments, to stop the run, on third and short. And so I think just finding the personnel that is good for each, down and distance, I don't think we saw a whole bunch of that last year.
Yeah, and I don't ever like to pretend that I know more than what the coaches do, but I think it'd be fair to say that John Butler even struggled at that defensive coordinator spot as a whole, because you would remember, like, we had some press conferences where I don't think Husker fans like to hear it, but at least there was some honesty there where he kind of told us, I want to say it was the Minnesota game where we got blown out, where it was like really early. He was already kind of like second doubting the game plan on like that second drive. It was close to a similar statement like that, not verbatim, but that's kind of where I hear like, what'd you work on all week if we're 2 drives in and we're throwing it out the window?
Yeah. And how confident were you in that game plan?
Yeah.
Why weren't you so confident? Because I think confidence kind of comes from the work you already put in. And so as a coach, you have to believe not only in your guys, but you have to believe in yourself and like the film that you watched and the game plan you put together. Because I mean, we saw it in the Minnesota game. It didn't get much better after like the first few drives. And he did kind of throw that game plan out the window. Like it got worse.
Yeah.
And so I think going into games with one, like believing in your personnel, you have what you have. You can't just, say, all right, where's Ndamukong Suh? Can he go in the game right now? Like we all wish we could still have that, but it's, we have the guys that we have, and let's put together schemes that we believe our guys can execute. I remember hearing from a few guys just saying there was times where like Coach Butler was so sophisticated that you really had no clue what you wanted, like what he wanted from you or how to do it. He kind of just expected it. I think making sure that guys are confident when they step on the field of what their game plan is, what their role is, and then just give them the like free will to go out and make plays.
Yeah, 100%. It was kind of similar to Satterfield too, right? When Holmgren got down here, like let's cut this thing down a little bit so we understand the basics. Because if we don't understand the basics, the bells and whistles aren't going to matter. Let's get to Manning his answer on now why he thought maybe Nebraska struggled to get into the backfield last year.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. I mean, I feel like that's part of the belief in who you are. You always feel like you can pull it out of a guy, or get him to play at a higher level. I mean, that's at least I feel that way. I can't speak for all coaches, but that's my challenge. Like, hey, I'm gonna get this dude to play. Hey, I'm gonna get this dude to be more effective in his capacity, whatever that is. So yeah. I mean, do we have enough? Yeah, we have enough. I got to coach my tail off, and we got to learn what we're doing and how to do it. But just from a pure walk through the door, hey, do you have enough in here to get after the quarterback? Yeah. And it's similar to, again, last year where, you have to create pressure on the quarterback. Either you have the personnel to do that, or you have to, earn your check and figure out ways schematically to pressure him, and, I think we did a combination of both, honestly, last year. I think we identified those skills and those guys as like, hey, this guy, he has some one-on-one ability, and then we put them in those scenarios as much as possible schematically as best we could. And so that's the challenge. Right now we're identifying those guys, right? So day 3, we'll see, but I'm excited. That's the journey. That's the process, and that's what's most exciting for me as a coach.
So a few things in there. Again, it makes a statement. First thing, when you walk through the door, do you have the guys? And it sounds like the answer is yes at Nebraska. So he, at least in this press conference, confidence about the guys that he has, that he can certainly get some pressures. But I think that was the other thing I took away. Maybe not so much even getting sacks, but you play quarterback, right?
Yep.
Just getting pressures on guys. And it felt like last year, that's where Nebraska really struggled, where the few times we felt like we did get pressure, we'd lose contain, and other times just too much time in the pocket whatsoever, that a lot of comfort, not feeling any sort of pressure, and guys, quarterbacks were really able to plant their feet and just kind of pick apart Nebraska's defense at times.
Yeah, I mean, I think of Gronowski from Iowa. Like, it seemed like he was so comfortable against us the entire game. And for a guy who isn't, an unbelievable passer, when you think of, his skill set, he still had the time to just sit back there, and then also had the time to just scramble, or if something did, kind of did get open, like he was finding holes or ways to get a few yards. But, I like what he said is, yeah, if, you don't have the personnel, or the guys aren't getting to the quarterback, then you got to find a way as a coach to scheme it up where you are making things happen.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's just going to be certain matchups where you're not going to win. And when it comes to Iowa, I mean, we knew the defensive line was struggling all year. We knew we're not able to get pressure pretty much all year on quarterbacks. And not saying schemes would have fixed that one. I'm not sure what they threw out the wall with Iowa, but like, there's certain times where you can't we'll just pull our, boots up and we'll just go at these guys head on. Sometimes there's a disadvantage there. And for Nebraska, hopefully they can kind of figure out where they can find their advantages, certainly on the defensive side, because you got a lot of new faces there kind of running the show. With that being said, we'll throw out the break update on Husker Hoops. 45-46, Huskers trailing by 1 with about 13 minutes left to go in the second half. We will have post-game starting for that as soon as the clock hits 0. Don't go anywhere. Take a Weeknights, Harrison Arens, Tristan Gomes. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Lincoln's Coffee Week is now Coffee Month in February. With 25 participating venues, visit and check into at least 10 for a chance to win a $250 gift card to the venue of your choice. More details at lincoln.org/coffee-month, brought to you by Visit Lincoln.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Hey guys, this is former UFC fighter and mixed martial artist Anthony Lionheart Smith. The Upside Bar and Lounge in South Lincoln is the go-to spot for every UFC event, prelims, and main card. There's never a cover, so make sure you get there early and stay late. Upside Bar and Lounge has daily specials, a margarita club, and a taco club. And don't forget, they just added Buzz Bowls to their menu. Learn more about upcoming events by visiting UpsideBarLNK.com and stop into their South Lincoln location for every UFC event on 27th and Pine Lake.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more. Have you been looking for home technology upgrades but don't know where to turn? Online information can be contradicting and confusing. Lincoln's own experts at Dio Technologies can turn your living room into the place to watch your favorite sports. Whatever your vision is, Dio Tech is ready to make it a reality. From home theaters to outdoor entertainment spaces, they bring you along through the entire process to make sure you get exactly what you want. If you're ready to upgrade your entertainment space, visit Diotech online at diotech.net or give them a call at 402-793-5124.
A lot of people in the summertime think, gee, I want to build a new home. By the time they go through the process of sitting down, getting the permits, and getting the home started, the home isn't done until January or February.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
I think the best time to start designing your new home is the month of February. Get an early start on it. Sit down, the snow's flying. Let's sit around the table. Let's drop some plans. When we're looking out for a homeowner, we're always keeping their budget in mind. Let's put numbers together and let's get that thing started so that the home's done in summer or fall before school starts. So now is really the time to be contacting us to get an appointment to get the job done.
Make your dream a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your dream home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Electrical Enterprises in Roca reminds you, the men and women of our military dedicate themselves to serving our country. Their commitment and courage keep our country safe and strong. Let us honor those who have lost their lives in the line of duty and salute those who serve today. This from Electrical Enterprises in Roca. For all of your residential and commercial electrical construction needs, call 402-438-5822. They care about our United States veterans and active military personnel.
It's basketball season, and Salt Mine City is your pregame and postgame headquarters in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Get ready for the game with their big, fatty 7-ounce hamburger or try a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, your basketball headquarters, now open at 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Arens, Tristan Gomes, Tick Weeknights. If you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685. That is the Sartor Hamann text line. 48-45. What is it? I think about 11 minutes left to go here in the second half. Maryland is still leading. Currently have a +9 point differential in the second half right now. So hopefully Huskers can get it back in their direction. but only a 3-point game as it sits right now. So still pretty close battle and 11 minutes to go. All right, let's get back to Husker football. We still have yet to get some audio from Coach Corey Brown. Obviously, we got the new D-line coach as well. Let's see here. We have just his early impression with working with Matt Rule. Here is Coach Brown.
It's been great. From a standpoint, I think he's a challenging head coach. He demands your best. I think that's something that if you're wired the right way as a coach, you want that. That keeps you, on a sharp edge. And for him to go, make sure your things you're doing in India is carrying over the team and things like that, like as a head coach, that's keeping you on par. So he demands your best, and I think it's been great to work for.
Love to hear that. Obviously, you want your coaches to be accountable, but you want your coaches to keep the coaches they hire accountable as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think as the head coach, you want to be someone that your entire staff looks up to, or if they became you, like, would they be proud of themselves? And I think Matt Rule does a good job of that. And I remember in one of his press conferences, he said that Bill Belichick told him it takes 3 years to find the right coaching staff, find the right guys for each coordinator position, but also just each position coach in general. And so I think for Coach Rule, that's something that you're proud to hear, and you hope that you instill that into your coaches. Now, you guys are always on like the same wavelength. I think with Coach Eckler, we've heard a little bit about were they always on the same page? What were the vibes there? You just hope going into this season that each coach is, they're having conversations with each other, they're in meetings together, and they're finding ways to not only better the program but better themselves in order to help these student athletes.
Yeah, and take it for what it's worth, right? I don't expect him in his first press conference, at that title with that position coach title, that he's going to trash Matt Rule and say like, well, yeah, he's all right to work with, I guess, but the paycheck's better. No, he's said the right things there. But again, you hear that Rule's holding coaches accountable. And I always think, even if it's coach speak, that there's truth in there, which is all the good things. Because I'll tell you what, they're going to need accountability, like top to bottom, if they're going to have a good season next year. The schedule, even if some teams don't turn out maybe as good as what people are thinking heading into the season, there's going to be hard enough games in there as it is, that if Nebraska, if they don't have clear leadership, if there's no clear direction, guys aren't being held accountable, whether it's coaches or players, I mean, it seriously could be looking at a 5-win season.
Yeah, and it goes back to kind of just like the trickle-down effect I feel like a coaching staff has. It goes from the head coach to the coordinators to the position coach to the player. And
even the ADs up top.
Even the AD up top, where they can have an impact just on the culture of a football program. And so
even Pillen, apparently.
Exactly. Even Pillen, even the governor, and then maybe the president wants to get involved. Yeah. I think it's important for Rule to understand that is, I need to make sure that my coordinators, like, they're instilling the same message that I want for our culture. And then for the position coaches, especially, because I mean, even, in every sport, I feel like it's the position coaches that you work with the most, that you build that relationship with. And so if they're coming in with a different mindset or a different motto than the head coach, the program as a whole isn't going to work as one. And so I think it's important for Matt Rule to, have these conversations, be in these players meetings, so he understands, all right, yes, this position coach, Coach Brown, is, talking about what I want, what I would say to these players. And it's all just the culture. There's one mission, there's one idea, and there's kind of just one talk going into it.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to hold everyone, to that same standard that you're holding yourself. You see it like with Tom Osborne. It was pretty obvious that there was a standard. I don't even think the other coaches would swear until they were plenty miles away from anywhere near the practice facilities. Like, that was just a Tom Osborne thing. And even you think that's silly, well, he's going to keep that pretty serious. He's just not going to swear. And, I don't know all the stories, how true some of them are, but I know he just didn't necessarily appreciate it with the other guys swearing around. And he kept that true. And with Saban, like, you definitely know there's a standard. That's why he has that coaching tree, because he held those guys to that really high standard. And although maybe it was hard, it's turned into a lot of great coaching careers. Go look at Kurt Cignetti and what he's doing down there with Indiana. Let's get more on Coach Brown here. Here's him discussing some of the additions to the room. Again, Nebraska pretty active in the portal, especially on defense. They got some defensive linemen. They got some linebackers as well. Here is Brown on some of the additions.
Well, the first part of your question, I was kind of on the tad end of that portal window. So got a chance to meet Jasir while he was here on his visit. And then some things family-wise happened, and I got a chance to do some things over Zoom calls with Owen. But you always watch film prior to see what those guys' strengths and weaknesses are. But looking at those guys, they bring an explosive element to the table. They also bring a leverage element to the table, and not saying that because of their height, but because sometimes a guy may be 6'1", but play like he's 6'5". But those guys in that 6'1" to 6'2" range, but play with great leverage and good knee bend. So those aspects of explosiveness, the power, and then strong hands as well that they bring to the table. And then the mentality, because it's something where you just can't shy away from contact in that position. But that's definitely something they've been doing on film in a short period of time.
And I'm going to double down on that one. Just play these backs back, because you also have them going on talking about just like how do you improve the confidence of that mentality in his players.
I would not say that. I think that the attitudes has been great. These guys have shown up with the right intent. Now, the focus of it probably has to get a little bit better, which we know, and that first deal pads always kind of gives you that indicator of some things you need to work on a lot more. But overall, in this room, it's been a great group to work with thus far. I think everybody's in the mindset to compete and get better this spring, and know how we talked about it's built from the inside out. These two positions that we hold ownership over, they're important. Because we got to make sure that we have a focus on stopping the run, and then from there earn the right to rush the passer.
So yeah, and I cut off a little bit at the beginning, but they asked him like, has he had confidence issues? And he says, no, absolutely not. The guys are pretty locked in, ready to go. But you got to put those two together. He's seen the tape on the new guys, and then he says the mentality's there. These guys are ready to go, and they want to go out there and play football, and they have the right mentality to do so. I mean, what do you make out of that? I know it's all kind of coach speak, but.
No, I mean, I think he's spot on, though. And, from a fan base, when we're just at the games and we're watching and, there's a few of the missed tackles or you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, like, I think it's easier for us to go, all right, he's not working hard.
Right.
Like, he's not doing it. Like, in all of college athletics, if you want to play, like, if you want to have the opportunities or even just get a single opportunity, like, you have to work hard. You have to put the work in. And then as much as, like, they're competing against whoever, they're going against on Saturdays right now, like the entire spring, the entire summer, even in fall camp, like you're competing against like the guy next to you. And so I think if he's instilling that mindset into him is if you guys want to play, like you have to be better than the guy next to you or the guys at your position. You have to be top two if you want to be on the field. And so, I think it's as much as it is a little bit of coach speak of obviously he's going to say he has confidence in his guys is these guys have to have confidence in themselves and they have to work. So, on Saturdays when it comes, if they do miss a tackle, it doesn't mean they're not working hard. It just means like didn't work out that play. And you just want to make it so it's more consistent where there is more pressure, there is more tackles being made. But these guys are definitely working hard. I think Coach Brown's doing a good job of, instilling that in them. It's like you want to play, you have to put in the work.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it. I think the defense probably felt, getting called out at moments last year, depending on, I know a lot of the guys that I feel like now try to stay off social media and ignore it, but it's gotten to a point where it's so loud. And, they were part of the conversation a lot, was the run game and stopping the run. I'd imagine that group would have a little bit of the chip on their shoulder, plus the transfer additions. I mean, is anybody get you really fired up that we've gotten out of so far in the transfer portal?
I mean, I think I would have to look more at just, who we have gotten and, from the defense. I know we have a few guys from San Diego State that came over and I'm excited to see them. Like, I think those are guys that, they came from a program that did, have a few wins in the Mountain West and they have competed, but I think on both sides of the ball, it's just who's going to show up on the offensive and defensive line. Like who is going to be guys that solidifies their spot, but also when we watch them on Saturdays, we go, okay, that guy's made an impact. Like that's a new guy, or that's a guy who's been here that, yeah, he stepped up huge this offseason. So I am curious to see, how does the line of scrimmage change for the University of Nebraska?
Well, it's just a big part of it too. Like, we can get guys like Wright, but the problem is they go out there and play. We've done this with like 4 stars that have come here and, O'Shawn Mathis, I'm not going to blame it on him. Maybe the system didn't fit him because clearly he was that player at TCU, but he came down here and it was more of Garrett Nelson was kind of the guy leading the charge on defense when it came to getting to the quarterback. And that's not a dig at O'Shawn Mathis. I don't know if the system or what it was, but it doesn't always work out. So I like the names. I like some of the talent that they brought in here. You've got some guys with some really good reps and obviously guys that you already know how to coach because they're at your previous steps with Orange, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. It's, we'll see. There's kind of just a lot to put together this offseason for the defense and for the players, switching up the defense as well. What's your confidence that this thing's going to come together? Or do you think it's a little bit of a slow start And then towards the end, we see maybe a little bit better on just the defensive side of what this is supposed to look like.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have so much offseason to prepare, and just looking at Nebraska's non-con schedule going into this 2026 season, it's you're playing a lot of action. You're playing a lot of action teams that you should take care of business, and so I think in those ones you want to make sure that your defense does look good. Like, you don't have the time in those ones to get just so much of a feel for it. Like, you have to show up, because once their Big Ten schedule comes out, we've seen it. It's a tough schedule, so I think you want to start out hot and going into the season have an idea of, who are the guys going to be. If it's not them, who's going to step up right away. But one thing I do like about, the guys that Ulrich has brought over is they've played football. I mean, you look at this Kurt Cignetti Indiana team that just won, like, the average age was 22 and a half, like guys that have played a lot of college football. I think Nebraska and Matt Rule is trying to get that vibe where I think when, week one does happen, and Nebraska steps down in Memorial Stadium, like, they're ready to go because they have guys that have experienced football.
Yeah, and that's just the way college football is. I mean, a lot of the rosters now, I think Kurt Cignetti's average roster age was 23.
Yeah,
it was up there.
It was like 22 and a half, 23, yeah.
So in the, whether you like it or not, it's kind of just been the recipe for success. As older teams we saw last year with Auburn basketball, they had a crazy high average roster, and I think they fell apart the round of 32, or maybe the round after that. I know they had an early exit to what everyone anticipated, but it does look like it works. I mean, and it's not rocket science. You got an older team out there, a team that has a lot more starts and reps under the belt than the traditional playing some young guys and kind of having that mixture of just having a bunch of dudes, all 22 that are starting offense and defense and whatever you're combining for special teams. When all those guys are juniors, seniors, fifth-year guys, it makes sense, and it's no surprise that they typically have an edge over opponents. With that being said, we'll throw it to break. We'll get to a little bit of NFL. Huskers pulling away here, 9-0 scoring run in the last 3 minutes, 51-61, 5 minutes, 30 seconds left to go. Huskers lead by 10, 61-51. Don't go anywhere. Harrison Arns, Tristan Gomes, one more segment, and then likely Husker Hoops postgame to start up right around 8 p.m. So don't go anywhere. 93.7 The Ticket.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, a chance of showers this afternoon. Otherwise, partly sunny with light winds and a high near 52. Tonight, a chance of showers early. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies, a low around 26. And tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine with a light breeze and a high near 62. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. The weather in the winter months is cold, windy, and as unpredictable as a tee shot on the 450-yard par 4. With top-of-the-line full-swing simulators and a PGA teaching professional, Back Nine Golf is there to help you improve your game and lower your score. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for members. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Back Nine Golf, your premier indoor golf and events destination. There are so many realtors in Lincoln and Omaha, but don't get overwhelmed by all the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines. Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at WindowWorldLincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing.
And electrical.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. Final segment here. Starting Tristan Gomes. Husker Hoops putting their foot on the pedal down the stretch here, as I guess just a little over 3 minutes left to play. And currently, the Nebraska Cornhuskers are leading 67-54. And we'll talk about all of that in the post-game show. Before we do that, though, let's talk a little bit more Husker football. 2 Huskers invited to the NFL Draft Combine. You had Deshaun Singleton and then Emmett Johnson. The Emmett Johnson no-brainer. Singleton, it makes sense. You kind of figured enough teams would vote for him, but he does get the ticket to go to the Combine. Only 2 players surprised by it, or does that sound about right?
I think that sounds about right. And, you look at the other guys at their positions that did get the invite and you go, that's a really good group that they've made it into. I mean, you look at, especially for the running backs invited, obviously you have Jeremiah Love, you have the Penn State guys, and then you have Emmett Johnson, who's kind of in that conversation with those 3 other running backs. And so I don't think it's super surprising, especially when you look at, some of the teams like Indiana or Georgia, or the teams that, had really good seasons and a lot of older guys. You expect them to end up there.
Yeah, 100%. I know some people are saying Rocco Spindler as well, but again, you just got to not a ton of people get invites to go to that thing. And a lot of those guys, the way it works now is they got all their individual combines, or at the University of Nebraska will do one. Their numbers will get out there, and it's also kind of weird how they vote on that. I don't know exactly how it goes, or if it's just totally by preference, and that's why it's kind of wish-washy. But sometimes you'll see guys that get invites, and you're maybe scratching your head why.
Yeah,
it's purely just teams' needs and how they vote.
I am curious, if it is just the organizations, if there's a few, organizations, GMs, anyone who would just go, wait, I want to see this guy, and 3 or 4 different organizations name a random guy from, Utah State, and they go, yeah, like, let's get this guy.
Yeah, they just
like,
need linemen really bad.
Exactly,
It's like,
because
we'll take a gamble on these
because like
Polynesians or
we want to
whoever.
see these guys, and so I think it's based on position, what position is lacking, just in the NFL in general, or just in organizations in general.
And a guy like Evan Johnson, I was kind of looking at his grades, and make of it what you will, because they're obviously not always accurate. And he talked about wanting to get a 4.3 in his dash time, which would definitely put him in some really good category there. But I think, I don't know if that's why he's doing this, but you go look at his draft grade, and the breakaway speed is like the one hit he has, and then pass protection is the other. Pass protection, you saw it in that Minnesota game, not all on him, obviously, when you start piling up sacks like that. Those are 2 areas. If he gets the 4.3, you check that box. Then I think pass protection, that's just comes with time, and getting used to the NFL level probably comes with a little bit more time. I don't know many rookie running backs that have been great at pass pro. Like, I know Kyle Monungai for the Bears has gotten destroyed a few times, and it's just a tough thing to pick up, especially at that NFL speed. What does he need to do you think? Talks about maybe the late first round, early second round. What does he need to do just for this draft? So, like, if he really needs that speed, and how does he need to prolong his NFL career if he's going to have that chance?
Yeah, I think the speed is the most important thing, because I think of him almost in a similar, like, Travion Henderson's a guy that I kind of like, reminds me of him, especially, just being a rookie of, even Travion Henderson really struggled when it came to pass protection. I think that's something that is going to come with time. You have to, start being good at it as soon as you get into the league. But I think it's important for him. Yeah. Work on that pass pro. And then if he does get a 4.3, that would be unbelievable. I don't expect it.
I can't remember. It's like 4.3 something, but a 4.3 is
a 4.3 is fast. Yeah. And so I think if he can, get that speed up there, and, he does really perform at the combine, like, he can get up into that, late first round, really into that early second round. And so the pass pro, I think, is really tough. And, you think of his games here where, Nebraska did have 8-9 sacks in a game. That's not totally on him. Like, it's tough when there's a lot of leaks. There's a lot of holes that, defensive linemen are making it through. It's tough for any running back to, stop a 300-pound dude that is, just as fast as you. So I think, just working on those things in the combine, and, trying not to be so perfect. Like, be him. He's gotten this invite because of what he did this past season. Like, he's earned it.
100%. All-American and first team, right? With Love.
Yeah.
From Notre Dame, 1 and 2 right there. So he's got all the accolades behind him. I don't think it's a super loaded running back class either, which helps him in his favor as well. And like I said, if he gets to 4.3, yeah, he'll definitely be climbing his way up there. And I know he's down there. I think he went to Florida to go ahead and get his training in there for 2 weeks prior to it. So looks like he's doing everything in his power to try to get right and ready for the combine. We'll be excited to see where he ends up landing up, but that is still a ways away. We got Husker Hoops right now, and it's almost wrapped up. Under 2 minutes to go, 69-57. Huskers control it pretty comfortably here with about 1:30 to go. We'll have the post game likely right after this segment right here. Don't go anywhere. 93.7 The Ticket.